What's going on, everybody? Greg Hickman here from Alt Agency at altagency.com. And in this video, I want to share this concept that I've been playing with called the automatic agency. Now, the automatic agency, really, this concept came in the fact that a lot of people are talking about how do I automate my business? How do I automate my lead gen or my fulfillment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And I actually think there's a big difference between automate and automatic. And I think what people really mean is they want their business to be more automatic. They want the results and the output that they're looking for to be more predictable. They want to be involved in the process only where they need to be involved with it, but the business in most cases will never be fully automated to the point where you're not needed as the owner. So how do we make it as automatic as possible that, when you put in $1, you can make $2, so to speak? And when I started looking across our business, there are multiple areas where we look to create systems and harness automation in order to make our lives easier. And what I found is that there's really kind of two core areas. There are systems and assets, and there are inputs and processes. So systems and assets and inputs and process. Now, before I jump into these, if you are new to the channel, please click the subscribe button. We release a new video each and every Thursday, and we're really here to share what's working for us and our clients as we help them really add a new revenue stream into their business and make more money while working less using systems, process, and automation. So like I said, the automatic agency is made up of a couple key pieces: systems and assets, inputs, and process. So first, I want to talk about systems and assets. Systems and assets, to me, are those things where they're the one-time things that once I build them, they continue to build value over time. Now, you can look all across the client journey on this and find things that are systems and assets for you in your business. Now, when I say across the client journey, I mean lead generation, lead nurture, sales, fulfillment, and kind of retention, resell, and upsell. Like this can go into operations and finance too, but if the business is stuck, it's likely in one of those 5 areas. So at a high level, let's look at some things that could be systems and assets for you inside of your business. First, your acquisition funnel. Maybe you've built a webinar. Maybe you are using a video sales letter or an ebook as a lead magnet. Now, the reason I'm saying that this is a system and an asset is because once I've built that, as long as leads are going into it and I have an email follow-up campaign and a lot of stuff, like that works without me being there. So I'm able to deliver value to prospects when I've already put in the effort beforehand. Now, another example of this is the actual sales pipeline management process. So we have a couple different people on our sales team, and we have a go-to process that's documented, and we set up using multiple systems that allow them to have sales conversations, know what to do with those people. There are some pieces of it that are automated, and there's also process and documentation that they follow each and every day that allows them to move prospects through this pipeline. But once we have that process dialed in, to me, that's an asset, because once I created it and we brought on 2 sales reps, once they walked through the system, they were able to take that off my shoulders. They were able to take that off my plate. And now they are the ones sitting inside of that system. They're just managing it for me. But it's an asset because it's still helping us yield the result. I'm just not a part of the person manning the ship. Now, another example is just like a long-term nurture campaign. So I don't know what your belief is on long-term nurture, but someone opts in and they're going to get emails from you over time. Like that is an asset because those emails can be selling your products and your services. Now, another one could be your onboarding process. Again, some of which can be automated, some of which could be, more of a process. So this kind of covers both areas that I'm talking about: systems and assets, and inputs and process. And again, I've noticed that they obviously come together to create the result that you're looking for, but they are distinctly different because in the example that I'm going to share, there is the system that you create, but at some point that system is going to need constant inputs. So for us, you know, on the fulfillment side, we've pre-built a lot of campaigns, a lot of automations. So what does that mean for us on fulfillment? Well, when a client comes to us and says, hey, I need a webinar funnel, or I need a new client onboarding campaign, or I need a list hygiene campaign, those campaigns are already built. They need some inputs to be added, but it's an asset for me because I don't need to go do all of the heavy lifting to build it unique every time. 85% of it's built, but we're going to need the client to put in some inputs to make it work for their business. So it's an asset for us because I don't have to do the fulfillment from scratch. It's actually an asset for our client because they get it and they just need to tweak the inputs so that it's unique to their business. And lastly, on the fulfillment side, if you are a client of ours, you'll notice that we use a lot of frameworks and templatized things, not necessarily scripts, because if you use scripts, you end up sounding more like us. But if you use frameworks and you model what we're doing, you're going to get the same result, but you're going to sound like you. So that is the systems and assets piece. So that leaves us with the inputs and process piece. So inputs and process, I think of, well, once I create this machine, or system, as I just said, or this asset, what are the inputs that make the machine go? Well, for us, and I should have done a little flashy animation here by bullet, forgot to do that, but things like ad campaigns. Well, an input for our ad management process, we actually still need to come up with new creative and copy on a frequent basis to feed that machine so that we have new ads going live into the marketplace. That email nurture campaign or the email newsletter, we need to write new copy that goes into that process each and every week. YouTube videos, I'm creating content right now, but once I'm done creating this video, it goes into a process where people will take it, they'll transcribe it, they'll schedule it in YouTube, they'll add all the tags. So that there's a process that needs the input in order for it to work. To me, it's sort of automatic because once I'm done with this video, I input it into the system and the system now notifies the next person, the person who's in charge of that seat, then notifies the next person, and so on and so forth. When it comes to fulfillment, we often create more solutions. So what I mean by that is, maybe it's a new campaign, maybe it's a new framework and a template. But as we're serving our client, for example, in one of our coaching programs in Academy, each and every quarter, we host a 2-day workshop. Well, each and every quarter, I need to come up with new training for that workshop. So the workshop has a structure and a process. It happens every quarter. It's 2 days between these specific times. And Greg has a structure for how he does those workshops. So I'm designing almost like painting by the numbers, but the content that's going to go in there needs to become unique every single time. So I have a process to go create a new training. It's called the New Client Training Builder. Fancy name, right? But that is an input. The content that's going into that workshop is an input, but the structure and the process in which we promote the event, invite all of our clients, that is a system and an asset. And guess what? We can package that process up and give it to our clients, which is essentially what our business is. Packaging up processes and systems and automation and making our agency clients' lives easier by helping them grow without working a whole lot harder. So if you weren't sure what we did, that is what we do. So let me give you a specific example of something that's very relevant for us right now. The acquisition machine. So why the acquisition machine? So I had been managing my own ads for forever, and I just brought on a media buyer, and I needed to really onboard this media buyer to take over this process for me. And I had to codify what it is we do. And so I looked at it from a systems and the inputs kind of perspective that I was talking about earlier. So let's look at this. So my video sales letter, right? My ads go into my video sales letter. So once people start watching the video sales letter, they start moving towards the direction of becoming a client, right? But the ads in this case are the inputs. So ads are feeding the VSL system, And the output would be the leads and the applications that we're getting that are speaking to our sales team, right? But now within this, you can drill down into the ads management process, right? We release ads every Tuesday, new ads every Tuesday and Friday. So we need to be ready with new ads Tuesdays and Fridays to launch. So throughout the week, we're working on content and creative that will then go into our ads management process, which is very similar to like a Kanban board, kind of a production board, Kanban board. And my media buyer will take the creative and content that I've put together, and we'll take the ones that we decided to launch, and he'll take them. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays, he will launch that campaign, and boom, Tuesdays and Fridays and new ads are going live. So we know that every Tuesday and every Friday, new ads will go live. But if Greg stops creating content and coming up with new creative and recording new ad videos, well, the process, it's still an asset, but it's not going to lead to the result that I mentioned earlier, which was leads and applications. So as I started looking at this, I just realized that many of the things that I wanted and that my clients need and that you might need watching this is really, how do you design your days and your weeks to create the inputs that feed the machines and the systems that you are creating, which really is just about how do you set up routines and daily practices, because they are critical to feed the systems. They are critical to feed many of the assets. My mini webinar is great, but if new leads aren't going into it on a daily basis, it's not going to produce the results that I need it to produce. If I stop giving ads to my media buyer, they will, he won't have ads to run. If I stop showing up to the coaching calls for our coaching clients, that's an input. They don't get the support they need. They don't get the result that they want. So it ends up really breaking down to the systems and assets and the inputs in the process. And I know I just gave you an example of really more in the lead gen and the lead nurture side, just because that's more relevant for where I'm at right now. But it really plays throughout within each of those 5 drivers of your business: lead generation, lead nurture, sales, fulfillment, and retention, resell, and upsell. I've heard it was called the 5 core functions of a business from Alex Charfin, who has a great podcast, by the way. I think it's called Momentum or something like that. For some reason, I thought it was his name. But anyway, check out his podcast. I'll link it up below. Great podcast. And I want you to think about where in your business are you creating systems and assets that when you build them once, they start creating value for you over time. And then how are you working into your daily routines and your habits, the activities that will create the inputs that will feed these systems? If you think about each of those areas and where you need help next, it's very, very easy to start focusing in on the areas that are going to help you remove yourself. Well, if it's sales, how do I develop the sales system and the sales process and figure out what I need to do each day to move leads through that pipeline? Because when I hire someone, I can show them that and they can jump into that role and follow that playbook a whole lot faster. When we hired our sales team, they came on in May. I was completely off the phones in about 45 days. And we really didn't miss a beat. And if I didn't have all of this structure and stuff to say, hey guys, like hop on in here. This is where the lead comes from. This is what happens. Here's what you say. Here's that document. And like getting them up to speed, it would have taken me a lot longer. The same thing with our media buyer. If I didn't say, hey, we launch ads on Tuesdays and Fridays, like we'd probably be scrambling and be doing it all over the place. But because we know that we want to launch on Tuesdays and Fridays, we structure the rest of the week around the inputs that are going to yield the assets, the creative, the content that's going to feed that ads machine. So hope you found this helpful. If you're watching live, hit me with a hashtag replay and let me know what you thought of this. If you're watching on YouTube, I would love to know what you think of kind of this style of presentation. I'm working on new styles of presenting content and having a lot of fun with all of the gear that I've been buying. Just trying to up-level what we're here to share with you. So let me know if you found this helpful, if you'd like to see more presentations and videos like this, and make sure you're subscribed, and we will chat with you very soon.